Hello and welcome to the Alcohol Free Vibes podcast, a high vibe space where we talk about all things spirituality, manifestation, raising our vibrations, and walking away from the manifestation block that is alcohol. Whether you're newly sober, sober curious, or you've been sober for a long time, this is the place for you if you want to learn more about spirituality, manifestation, and how letting go of alcohol can make you so much more powerful at manifesting. It's time to stop drinking, start living, raise our vibrations, and step into our manifestation power. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Alcohol Free Vibes podcast. So I'm recording this intro just having done my final training hike for the Longman hike. I don't know if I said before I'd done my final training hike, but we had an emergency extra training this weekend, which was really, really fun. And now the next one is on the 7th of October and it's the 50-mile through the night hike. Yes, I am that crazy. So I look forward to telling you all how that went. I'm sure there will be many funny moments, perhaps of meltdown during that. But I just totally would not have signed up for this if I was still drinking. This is the kind of adventure that really excites me now that I don't have alcohol in my life anymore, because I just have so much more time to do other things and other hobbies. And yeah, I'm really, really excited about it. So yeah, watch this space. I will fill you all in on how that went. Maybe I'll even do a whole episode on it. Who knows what may come out of that 24-hour adventure through the Shropshire Hills. So in today's episode, I am interviewing the lovely Gabriela Flax. So if you follow Sober TikTok, you may well have come across Gabriela Flax on your travels. She's super inspirational, and I love the way that she talks so openly and honestly about her alcohol-free journey on TikTok. So I'm going to be interviewing her today to find out more about that. But before we jump into that interview, just a reminder of some things I've got on offer for you at the moment. So if you would like a monthly check-in with a group of spiritual, alcohol-free people who are on the same wavelength, and you would like a monthly training in manifestation and, things to think about. So with the training, you get a self-led video training, you get journaling questions, and you also get a meditation audio to do. Then why not join my Alcohol Free Vibes, well actually it's called Sober and Soulful membership. It is £30 a month and you get all of that included. If you are just starting off on your journey of sober curiousness and you'd like something to get you kick-started, how about signing up for my 30-day audio challenge? So it's an alcohol-free 30-day audio challenge. I'll send you an email every day with an audio clip in. All you have to do is press play and listen to the sound of my voice. Sometimes I give you a pep talk, sometimes I give you a meditation, or sometimes I just give you little things to do. And it's only £20 for the whole month, so that could be something for you. If, however, you are just like, no, Anneka, I need to get deep. I need to get into why I've been drinking. I really, really want to go deep in my healing and I'm really ready to show up for this. Then why not sign up for a free discovery call with me so we can discuss more about where you are and what your coaching needs might be and have a look at what options work for you. All of these links are in the show notes, as well, of course, as the links for Gabriela, who we will meet now. Hello, Gabriela. How are you today?
I'm great. Happy Thursday. How are you doing?
Happy Thursday. I'm good, thank you. Let's start off just by introducing yourself to our audience. So who are you and what do you do?
Definitely. So I am Gabriela. I am American, if my accent didn't give it away, but I live in London, which has been a really interesting kind of part of who I have become over the last decade now that I've been here. And in terms of who I am, I think I could define myself by my job and by the things that I do. But what I like to say is that I'm someone who loves sharing her story, especially when it comes to alcohol and fitness, and motivation and career. I love sharing that with people as I'm going through my own experience. So I would just say I'm someone who loves to chat about what is happening in her life, and hopefully using that as an example, or, inspiration or help, or a, source of, I don't know if I should say wisdom, but hopefully something that can help people.
Certainly. And I would say your TikTok posts are really, really inspirational and motivational for lots of people. So you're definitely doing a really good job at that. So let's talk about then what started off your alcohol-free journey. What kind of led up to the point where you decided, I don't want to do this anymore?
Sure. So I have a bit of an interesting, I think, arrival to that decision and to that journey. So I stopped drinking when I was 26 years old, officially January 1st, 2022. So almost at that 2-year mark now. And the reality is, at that point in my life, I was never a big drinker. I definitely say I was a social drinker during uni. I, was always having a glass of wine here and there to socialize, but I'd never been conscious of my drinking, and it had never really caused any problems for me that I was consciously aware of. And when we went into COVID, two things happened.
Yeah.
Obviously, we moved into lockdown and just our social worlds changed. And so the opportunities to be drinking with friends and going out, that just all went away pretty much overnight. But the biggest thing that happened, and it really was the pivotal point in my own journey and my exploration with alcohol, is I unfortunately had called my grandmother, and I was at the time feeling a little bit of misalignment with my career, with different elements of my life. And she was the best advice giver that I had in my life. And she's awesome and still is to this day. And I picked up the phone and called her on FaceTime, and she looked back at me and had no idea who I was. And we knew that she had been diagnosed with Alzheimer's a few years prior. But that was really the first time where I saw the impact of a neurodegenerative, I'm going to mess up that word now, neurodegenerative disease, really impacting me. And to not have my grandmother be able to remember my name and remember my face, I just had this consciousness of our health right there in front of me. And at 26, I had been fortunate to not think about my health really up until that point. And I was kind of living in bliss's ignorance world. And seeing my grandmother go through that and knowing it was going to impact my family, I started just diving into every book, podcast, article I could get my hands on about how we keep our brains healthy. And the biggest thing that I learned in that process was the impact of alcohol on the brain. And just in that moment, came to terms with the fragility of health and said, right now, I'm going to do everything in my power so that there never comes a day, hopefully, where my granddaughter picks up the phone and the roles are reversed. And I stopped pretty much cold turkey, and it has been a wild few years of learning ever since. But I've really come at this from how can I protect my health from a long-term perspective? And cutting out alcohol was one thing. There've been many parts of this journey to realize that kind of end goal of setting myself up for long-term health. But that was really the catalyst, and what's kept me going ever since.
That is so, so powerful. I remember actually when I was doing my health coach training with with IIN, there was a particular lecture where they were showing brain scans of people who drink, and they're literally, there are holes in the brain on the brain scan. It's quite scary, isn't it? And I think this is such a powerful thing for people to hear as well, because you're a classic example of, you don't have to reach rock bottom or get in a real muddle with your drinking to realize that it doesn't serve us, right?
Definitely. There's so much, going through this, there's all of the different labels, and something I've really struggled with in terms of going alcohol free is, what do I call myself? And I think because there is an association where people hear the word sober and they think sober means that you've had a tumultuous relationship with alcohol, or there has been addiction in the equation. And that puts people off from even asking themselves the question if drinking is right for me. And you don't have to hit that rock bottom. Well, rather, what I would maybe say is rock bottom could look very different for different people. We have a societal image, I think, that we can put in our minds of what rock bottom when it comes to alcohol could look like. But my rock bottom moment, I would say, is, having my grandmother look back at me and me seeing that health is not infinite.
Yeah.
And I was fortunate to be healthy in that moment, but that rock bottom for me was a feeling and a realization. And now I say that I'm electively sober. And that is, I don't say that I need to have a label, but I like calling myself that because I've made a choice to go down this path. But you're so right. We can feel like this alcohol-free life is not for us if we haven't experienced these low lows. You don't have to wait until that moment in order to just explore it.
And actually, for me, what you're describing, we can call it rock bottom, but we can also give that moment a different name, which is, it's just the point at which the universe grabs us by the shoulders and says, there is more for you than this, like, that, let it go. And I think lots of people who are alcohol free, especially people who are spiritually inclined, will say they had that moment where it was just so clear that it wasn't in alignment to be drinking anymore. So that was your moment, but let's talk about what has unfolded for you since. So what are let's talk about the positives, the kind of magical, I like to use the word magical, but the wonderful things that have unfolded for you since you went down this alcohol-free path.
Definitely. When I started going down this path, it was such an opportunity to get curious about how I wanted my kind of post-drinking life to look like. And the immediate impact I found was a lifting of brain fog. It had been something that I was conscious of feeling foggy, but it wasn't until I stopped drinking that I really saw kind of the mental capacity that I did have. I'd always been a creative person and had felt like I was out of touch with how to access that creativity, whether at work, with my friendships. Even I used to write a ton, I used to paint, and all of those things had just fallen to the wayside a bit. And so immediately I just noticed this pull towards the things that lit me up, even as a child. Like, what were those activities that really felt good when I was 5, 6, 7 years old? And I started doing them again. And as I started doing them more and more, I got into this rhythm of looking beyond what I had defined my life as at that moment. And the biggest area where that hit me was in terms of my career. And it really got me thinking about, who am I? What makes me excited? What draws me to people? What are the kinds of projects that I want to work in? And I realized I was on the totally wrong career path.
Interesting.
And it was frightening, as can be, because then my ego popped in and goes, well, you have a degree in this. You took an extra year to do a master's in this topic. You have an awesome job. You have a stellar CV. You get positive feedback from your boss. And I had all of this reason why I should just stay on this one path right there. Like, the validation was there. But what wasn't there was the curiosity, the energy that I was now feeling for this other group of things that I had started doing because I had found excitement for life again. And so I'd say it's, overall, the biggest thing that spawned out of this is just touching back in and getting back in touch with my own creativity, with my own energy, and unlearning the need to support my ego. I think at all times has been like the biggest thing. And getting comfortable with the fact that I don't know necessarily what the next few months and years are going to look like, but I do know it will be a departure from what I'm doing now. And the confidence from not drinking that I've gained is what is supporting me on that journey.
Yeah, and I think so much of what you said resonated with me. First of all, the kind of playfulness that comes back, that the inner child that pops back up again, and that playful creativity we can apply to life. comes back, and we've been taught to repress that as adults, right? And so many people notice when they stop drinking that they were not in alignment before, and unfortunately I think for some people this can be why they go back to drinking, because sometimes looking at changing where we are not in alignment can be so daunting that sometimes people say, I'd rather just numb, I don't want to look at that. So there is a bravery in seeing where we're out of alignment and going, okay, I'm going to deal with this now, and dealing with that uncertainty. But as you say, the more we do that, the more we move through that, then the more we genuinely gain confidence, right? And it's like an up leveling cycle where we just gain more and more momentum with this.
Yeah, without question. It's, curiosity breeds competence, and competence breeds confidence. It's the 3 C's. You move through them. And I think a lot of times when starting anything new, imposter syndrome can set in. You're so curious about this new area of your life, but then you start backing away and you think, oh no, I could never do that. I'm not someone who does these kinds of things. But then you start getting the reps in and you just show up day after day, even if it's uncomfortable. That builds the competency. After a few weeks and months of these kinds of repeated habits, and whatever it might be, the confidence comes out the other side. And it is scary, but as you've said, being alcohol free or not drinking, it's really, really a great tool for helping you get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And as humans, we will forever be in uncomfortable situations. It's a part of life. And that's why I think actually an alcohol-free lifestyle, it becomes a superpower. I don't view it as anything that's negative or without, or, scarcity mindset. It's actually a tool that what you learn from it can be applied to so many different areas, especially in being okay with being uncomfortable and embracing that uncertainty.
I completely agree. It is a superpower. And really what you're describing there is connecting in with our inner guidance system, which is our feelings. And the uncomfortable feelings are so important. They are telling us to turn left, do a U-turn, look at something that needs healing. And when we numb, we just ignore the sat nav, basically. We're just like, shut up. I'm going to keep driving in this direction and I'm going to ignore you. Yeah. Okay, so what would you say is the biggest thing that you have manifested since you've stopped drinking alcohol?
That's such a great question. The biggest thing I think I have manifested is a new sense. Okay, I'll answer this almost in 2 parts. I think there's what comes up for me when you ask that is the word integrity. I was someone, and still am, who was so motivated and driven and goal oriented. And I never followed through. In retrospect, when I look back at kind of pre-26 me, I thought I was following through on a lot of my goals and realizing that I left them half completed. And the new thing that I think has come out of this is I've really manifested this. With like a lot of visualization and a lot of focus, I now can see what realizing my goals looks like. And I've proven to myself that I don't need to drink to feel confident, to manage stress, to celebrate. And now I can use that data point to prove to myself I can reach whatever other goal I put my mind to. And so I think it's definitely brought about this sense of integrity that I really lean into, and I believe in myself now in a way that I thought I did before. But when I look back, I wasn't, think about a tennis swing, right? I was like hitting the ball, but not following through.
Yeah.
Now I'm following through, and I can see that with documented progress.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's been a really interesting thing just to see what we actually can achieve when we already think that we're performing at a high level. You can still go further. And it's really just I kind of look back, and I've been leaving myself videos every week. I record myself a video to self on a Monday morning, and I'll watch it the next Monday morning. And even just looking at the micro goals that I've accomplished in the last 7 days, I was like, we're operating on another level here. And being alcohol free is part of it. There's so many other components that are supporting that. But it's manifested this ability for me to set goals and actually reach them. And I'm proud of being able to do that now, because that's indicative of the kind of person that I want to be moving forward.
I love that idea of doing your video to self on a Monday and then looking back at it, because I mean, I like doing letters to my past self. Like maybe I'll pick like a year in the past, and then I'll do a letter to myself now from my future self, which I find really powerful. But doing the video on a Monday, like that's so good. I'm gonna copy that.
Monday mornings, I also definitely like on big milestones. So a birthday, or in terms of business milestones, even, whether that's launching a new program, whatever those kind of moments where you're just having a celebratory day. And then I'll schedule the email to myself. So I'll record the video and I say, this is something I want to watch next Monday, or I want to watch it in 6 months from now. And I schedule it in my Gmail. And then when the time comes, the email pops up, because I'll forget otherwise. And it's just a really nice reminder when I see those emails come through from myself. And then I just open up the video, and it's a really nice, you can, 2-minute video. It doesn't have to be a big effort. But it's a great way to keep honest with yourself and have documented progress of you achieving your goals.
I absolutely love that. Yeah. And then talking about in the video what you're hoping for, what you're manifesting, even if it's like what you're worrying about, because right, you might watch that in 6 months' time and go, oh my God, what was I worrying about that for? Everything was fine. And it's more proof that everything's always okay, right?
Definitely.
Oh, I'm so copying that. That's amazing. So with your TikTok journey though, then, so you post quite regularly on TikTok, and I know that you inspire lots and lots of people. Where do you see this taking you in the future?
Great question. So I'm actually, when you said the date for recording this podcast, I was so excited, because I knew when we first got in touch that by today I was going to officially be a British resident. And that is, yes, so I'm now here for life. I've been here for 10 years. The visa journey, for any international people in the UK, you'll know it. But what that allows me to do officially is I can own a business in the UK, and my life is here.
Mm.
And what I have learned, and we were touching on this in terms of the goal setting, and what I'm trying to prove to myself that I'm capable of. When I look back at the last 2 years, I really started assessing, where was alcohol supporting me the most? It supported a lot of different areas of my life, but really, really, where was it the biggest crutch that I was relying on? And the way that I did that is I would document down, or I remember I did this in January of 2022. I wrote down the last 20 times that I drank to memory. And so maybe that was New Year's Eve, birthday party, holiday, Christmas party, board, Friday night, sofa, fire, movie. And then I put a line next to each one, and I said, why? Why did I drink in that moment? So if it was the holiday party, socialization, celebration. If it was the Friday night, boredom. If it was Tuesday night, drinks with friends, stress from work. What I noticed when I started doing this exercise, and I ended up going way beyond the 20, I really relied on alcohol as a means to process stress.
Mm.
Overwhelmingly, that theme emerged. The second was socialization. But even between the two, stress really, really stood out as something that I was using drinking as a means of tempering my heart rate when it was picking up. If I felt like I was panicking or having a panic attack, I relied on red wine to quell that.
Mm.
And I think it's an experience, and I talk to a lot of friends about it. I've talked to now a lot of people on the internet about it, that it's such a common and human experience to experience stress, and to rely on alcohol as a means to support it. And I've started talking more and more about that experience on TikTok and on Instagram. One, because I want people to know it's totally normal, totally okay. So many of us do it, and there's no shame in it. It's not a right way to manage stress. It's not a wrong way to manage stress. It is a way. And what I want to start showing people, though, is through my own journey, I have learned so many different modalities, especially when it comes to exercise and fitness, to manage stress in different ways. And my hope and goal with my accounts is to really start sharing those other ways that you can lower, or rather increase, your tolerance for stress, but also process it through the body without relying on alcohol. Given that we know alcohol long term can put the body under more duress anyways, we're asking our bodies to detoxify and work overtime because we're ingesting a toxin that we think is the thing that's helping our stress go down.
And of course, I'm sure you've experienced this with your exercise journey and not drinking alcohol. Like, alcohol relaxes us for about 20 minutes before we then have more adrenaline and cortisol than we started off with. So we have this perception, and I was definitely the same as you. Oh gosh, I used to drink alcohol, red wine as well, because I was feeling stressed. But when we stopped drinking it, and when then we add in really supportive things like exercise, our resilience to stress, it just goes up so much, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's incredible when I remember the first time I went to the gym to start lifting weights, freaked out of my mind. I looked to my left, I looked to my right. Everyone knew what they were doing. They just looked so in control. And I was there too, because someone had told me, hey, you should start lifting weights as a method of managing stress. And looking at the people around me made me more stressed out, because now I was like, okay, someone said that fitness is the way to move stress through the body. I'm here, I'm in the building. I have no idea what I'm doing. And I actually was listening to one of your episodes the other day, and you said something so great about your CrossFit journey, that you signing up for the competition was a personal best because you've never signed up before. And we think about PBs, personal bests, in terms of how many reps you get and how much weight you can lift, how many miles you can run. But actually showing up for the first time, that's the first personal best, because you've not done it before. So when you said that, I was like, she's nailed it. That was such a great mentality to take, and puts you kind of into that motivation space and momentum to start looking at other areas on how we can manage stress through movement.
Oh, I'm pleased that resonated. And yeah, I would say, well, as we move through this journey of self-compassion and the way that we're thinking about the way that we talk to ourselves, I think we get better and better, don't we, at reframing things for ourselves. Because I know that when I was younger, I would have been like, I need to achieve whatever in this CrossFit competition. I probably wouldn't have signed up because of that. So it's when we just go, no, I can just add my goals in and layer them in each time I have a go. And yeah, PBing by turning up. And of course, I over exceeded my expectations because I didn't put any pressure on myself, which is usually the way. So I am hearing then that we have got lots more to expect from you in the future now that you are a resident. No, we say resident, or you're a British passport holder. You're more than a resident.
So I'll get a passport in about 6 months, but I'm basically the equivalent of a US green card holder. Like, I'm allowed to be here for life, come and go. It's the first step to getting citizenship.
Fantastic. Well, welcome to the fold.
Thanks.
And I'm excited to then see, now that you are able to start your own business in the UK, to see what happens for you. And do you have any ideas as to like what this will look like?
Definitely. So I have spent a lot of time, a lot of conversations recently over the last 3-4 months to understand really when people look at alcohol as a means of managing stress, what are kind of the root causes of that stress? Is it coming mostly from the workplace, from relationships, from finances, from other areas? And in my current professional career, I'm a product manager. So what we do on a day-to-day basis is we look for user problems, we design software to solve them, and then we bring that software to market, working with our engineers. And I'm taking the same learnings of how we manage a product process, of thinking about, okay, the problem here is me 2 years ago. I was someone in a corporate career who wanted to hit the top of the corporate ladder, goal-oriented, but I was blocking myself from getting to that next level because the stress I was putting myself under, I was medicating it with alcohol. And when I stopped drinking, a lot of things happened. I started getting promoted faster. I became more creative in my projects because I had greater capacity to think critically about the work in front of me. And I saw the immediate benefits of not drinking as it related to my career. But as we discussed earlier, it also opened up this concept to me that, hey, this career, as much as you might be good at it, is not what is lighting the flame right now. And it's not where I feel most aligned. So I then went out and I started thinking about how to basically heal myself. I learned how to lift weights. I have got really into meditation and different kinds of somatic techniques to help manage stress through the body. I've recently become a personal trainer. I've been working on the side, kind of in stealth mode, to learn about all of that because I want, selfishly, my form in the gym to be great, but I want to start helping other people with that. And really what I envision coming, my goal is January of 2024. That's when this is all going to officially kick off. I want to help, especially women in corporate roles who are eager to continue progressing and who know they have it in them. They can see what that progression looks like for them, but they feel stuck in their current practices and they don't necessarily believe that if nothing changes, they're not going to be able to proceed. Through taking them through a period of being alcohol free. I never say this is a lifetime thing. It could be 8 weeks, 12 weeks, but a pause from alcohol, and in its place, incorporating the different modalities that I've used on myself and that I've been training in over the last 2 years, kind of bringing them and gaining that confidence that they need to progress to the next level of their careers, and partnering with them in that, being their loudest cheerleader, a sense of accountability. I've been doing it on the side now for a few months with a lot of my own friends and people that I've met through TikTok and from around the world, which has been crazy. And it's been the most rewarding and fulfilling and just mentally, emotionally thing I've ever been a part of, to see how alcohol-free living, movement, mindfulness, and just believing in ourselves can truly alter the trajectory of someone's life.
I love this. And this is a classic example of how everything is happening for us to help us our life's purpose. And I don't know if you've heard this phrase, your mess is your message. I wouldn't say that you what you've described as a mess at all, but that phrase really for me means everything we ever go through is there to help prepare us to fulfill our life's purpose. And you've really harnessed your life's experiences there to basically focus on what you're already an expert in. You're an expert in all of these things, and you've put them together beautifully to meet a very specific need there. So I am sure lots of people listening are like, this girl is cool. I want to follow her. I want to see what she's up to. We might even have some listeners here that want to engage in some of your coaching programs. So can you let us know? Obviously, I'll put this in the show notes, guys, as well. But where can people find you online?
Definitely. So on TikTok, which is what I say is my daily thought journal, it's just Gabriela_Flax, and Gabriela with one L because that trips people up a lot of times. And then Instagram, it's just Gabriela Flax. And I love sharing my experiences. I'm an open book for questions, whether that's how do I go to the gym for the first time, or whether that's I'm, heading out to a bachelorette party and I don't think I want to drink. How do I navigate even approaching the group? Anything in the realm of this, it's one of the best things, and you're incredible at it as well. Like,
Thanks.
There's this community online that you just see the videos or you just see the posts, but there are people behind them who want to have conversations and support you at any point of your journey. And so my just, kind of parting word on that is use the community that exists online. One, to remind yourself that you're not alone in this. We've all gone through it and we choose to share about it, and we want to be a resource and support to whoever is looking for it.
Yeah, I I agree with you, and that's such a lovely note to end on. And I am so sure that you're going to be super successful, and I look forward to hearing more about how this develops as time goes on, and hopefully have you back on the podcast to talk about any developments that you've had. And thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you, Anneka. I really enjoyed chatting with you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to me today. If you would like to have the chance of winning a free one-to-one coaching session with me, then I'd love it if you could leave me a 5-star review. All you need to do is take a screenshot of the review and send it to me at thrive@coachingbyaneka.co.uk, and I would love to connect with you. If you would like to connect with me further and you'd like to download my free guide, then please go to my website and you can do that, and you'll be added to my mail list. Or if you would just like to book in a free discovery call with me, then you can do so via my email address or through my website. All of these links will be in the show notes. And I hope you have a wonderful, magical, sober week, and I will see you this time next week.